Hi, Vicki.
Hello, happy Tuesday.
Our new sponsor,
Who is who?
Rutgers Athletics.
Oh.
Not officially a sponsor, but they gave me a nice shirt.
They did?
Counts for me.
When did they give it to you?
I believe Meg gave this to me.
Oh.
And I haven't worn it. I can't think of her last name now. It was Meg Ryan. And she got married, and she's now the head coach of Maryland soccer.
I heard that.
And very nice individual. She got married to another soccer. She got married to a soccer guy, not another soccer guy. That would imply that she's a soccer guy. But I think she gave it to me. But, I'm very jazzed up. Like, Rutgers is getting better and better athletically, so I thought I'm going to wear the gear.
Woohoo!
But, I'm a Michigan fan, too. So
Yeah.
I'm
I hear you.
Did I tell you about my fat suit this morning?
Oh, you showed me your fat suit this morning.
I put on a fat suit. And really, it's a weight belt. Vicki got me a 20-pound rucksack.
You asked for it. I just want to clarify. You asked for it. I did not do it without you asking for it.
Vicki got me something I wanted, which was a rucksack. 20 pounds. I have not tried it today. I tried it on.
Yeah.
I have to tell you something. It's only 20 pounds. But carrying 20 pounds of excess weight, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I imagine being pregnant is a pain in the ass.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm glad I have to be pregnant because after like 2 hours in the rucksack, I'm like, get this baby off of me. I got to get this baby off of me.
Such an idiot.
And how much weight do you put on when you're having a baby?
30, 40 pounds.
Yeah, 30 to 40 pounds.
30 to 40 pounds, yeah.
I would think that now the military rucksack can be 60 to 80 to 100 pounds, depending on what job you're doing. And those guys are tough.
Yeah, they are tough.
Because my 20-pound baby had me just out of my mind today. But I put on a sweatshirt to make me look fat and then walked around. Did Tabby tell you what I did at the gym?
Yeah, she told me. She was embarrassed.
She wasn't embarrassed. She laughed hard.
She told me, I can't believe he did that. I'm embarrassed.
Why would you be embarrassed?
Because it's weird that you pinch someone.
I didn't pinch her.
She said that you did that whole zapping thing.
I went, I didn't pinch her. You think I pinched some girl? You think I'm a maniac? Holy Lord in heaven. I'm surprised this podcast is even happening with you thinking that I pinched some girl. Hey! Why be in the gym, sweet cheeks? No.
You've worn me out, mister.
No, what happened is I do my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I said the zapper got me. And
why don't you explain what you're doing?
All right. So, when you have a QR code and someone zaps the QR code, they shoot your QR code. I always say that it zapped me. And so the girl behind the counter goes, no, it didn't zap you. I'm telling you it zapped you. I'm telling you it zapped you. I go, try it.
You always go, ow.
Right.
And then the young kid looks at you like you have four heads. Like, who is this guy? It's not funny.
Oh, wait a minute. No, when you've seen it happen.
You do the joke over and over and over again, and you get the same reaction from the kids. This is the kids' faces.
Our kids.
No, any kid.
No, you've seen me do it.
I've only seen you do it once, and it's good. But it was an older store clerk, so it wasn't the whole. But I could see a kid being frustrated.
Yes.
Oh my God, you are such. You just managed to kiss both our asses in one sentence. It's repulsive. No, this was a young girl. And so she went through it, and I went, and she jumped. All right. And then they both laughed. What's the problem? You should bring joy into the world. Yeah. Aren't there enough people I know out there spilling misery?
I have to say, Noah's grown his hair long. It looks good.
Noah's a good-looking dude.
Yeah.
Good-looking dude.
But it looks good. It's the beard, too. Yeah. It's working for him.
Noah looks good. He's, if the hair gets a little bit longer, he will have what I call the recently homeless look. And
how?
He's unkempt. The beard. He needs the beard. The beard looks good. I like the beard. Let me see. Take a good look at me. Yeah, I do like the beard.
It works well. Yeah.
Distinguished. Well. And the beard combined with the fingernail polish makes you wonder, what the hell am I looking at?
Yeah. It's a good combo.
Are you ready to jump in?
Yeah.
I love this story. You eat it
up. Well, so Oklahoma is proposing a bill that is banning furries from school. So, every couple of years you hear stories about children dressing up as furries and pretending, they're whatever animals or cats or So they are suggesting that in the bill that anybody that acts like a furry, their parents will have to come get them from school. And if the parents aren't there in a timely manner, is this for real that animal control services shall be contacted? Is that for real?
That is what his notes had said. I can only go off that.
Yeah, that seems far fetched.
No, that's perfect. That is the perfect response. And you should put shock collars on them.
Mm-hmm.
And if they act up, you should be able to put them down.
Well,
Like, you should be able to come in. Where's Timmy? Oh, he was pissing on the rug. We had to put him down.
I asked Noah if this was just in the high school or all schools. Because, I mean, if a little kid believes they're a cat or a dog, who the fuck cares, right? Like, who cares?
No, I care.
No, you don't.
I
Not
do.
if a 7-year-old is meowing or dog be barking. It's no big deal.
No, sweetheart, that's the beginning of where you can straighten someone out or get them.
No, that's an imagination. That's an imagination. But if the issue is high schoolers, you know, dressing the part and acting the part and not communicating back, then you're hindering everyone's education.
Okay, I'm going to say that I agree 100% in high school. But listen, if Cassie were sitting next to a kid who was licking themselves in class, that would hinder her education. She would be distracted. I mean, it's a distraction. And listen, I keep going back to the same thing, right? There was never a furry in my school. No kid ever came in meowing. No one ever needed to use a litter box. So clearly there's something wrong. Now, if a kid came into school and said, heaven forbid, I want to hurt myself, we get them immediate help. If a kid comes into school on drugs, we get them help. Kid comes in from school with a bunch of different things, we get them help. You come into school saying you're a cat, immediately you should be put, flea collar should be put on you, and you got to go down to the psych ward. And I mean that in a very, I'm saying it in a funny way, but you need to get that child helped. You're not helping a 5-year-old by saying, well, Timmy, or should I call you Sniffies, Snuffles? You're hurting that child.
Not a 5-year-old. I disagree. I disagree. No.
Okay. Noah, Peter's not here. Do you have access to a computer?
Yeah.
Okay. Google for me, at what age do children start developing psychologically?
What? Their whole life, Vinnie.
So why would you let a 5-year-old?
Because 5-year-olds can pretend that they're cats and dogs.
Okay, wait. If a 5-year-old says during playtime, let's play vet and I'll be the cat, I can live with that. If a kid goes into a class going, the teacher goes, Johnny, do you have the answer? And he goes, meh. That's just a distraction. And it's evil to let that kid continue down that path. And here's why it's evil. All his friends, he'll develop no friends. His friend group at 5 or 6 or 7, they all may think it's cute. At 10 or 11, someone's going home to a father that goes, stay away from that kid. Thinks he's a goddamn cat. So you're doing that child an enormous disservice because the child's going to develop as a loner. That child later on becomes someone that paints his fingernails. A child heads down a bad path. It's a very early age where you develop your parameters, your understanding of social interactions. Okay, what's the age?
It's from 2 to 7 years. Children begin to manipulate the environment by means of symbolic thought and language. So 2 to 7.
2 to 7. Now, if a kid in preschool, and by the way, it'll never happen to a kid in preschool. A 2-year-old does not come and say, I'm a cat. A 3-year-old might say, I'm a cat, mommy. Okay, for 10 minutes. And then the mother, but if a kid came home and said, Mom, I got to poop in a box, would you let your kid poop in a box?
No.
Then
but
the school shouldn't let you.
But I don't think any school is actually letting anybody go to the bathroom in a box.
Well, this is saying students purport to be an imaginary animal. They're not talking about someone who says, I'm a cat in school and answers the teacher right. These are people that are disruptive in their behavior, and they do want litter boxes, and they refuse to speak. There's videos online. Do you have any videos online of this? There's videos online of kids in a classroom answering like this, meow, meow, and the teacher's going, no, I need words, meow. It's happening. And this legislature is saying that's disruptive. You can't have that. And by the way, all classrooms should be designated people that are disruptive for any way, in any way that impedes someone else's ability to learn. They should be out of that classroom. Now, if a child has a significant barrier to what is called normal, whatever the word is used, yeah, integrate those children, right? I mean, integrate people that have. I'm deaf. You would integrate me. If I had, Down syndrome, integrate me. If I have something, integrate me. Let me be in society, because the same 4-year-old needs to know that these are people and they belong in society. But cats, that's a psychological disorder of another magnitude. And you can't just keep saying, well, it's what they want. Sometimes you have to say, what you want does not fit in this box over here. So we can send you to the ASPCA, or you can go home to your parents and get help, or you can come here and get help, but you can't sit in class and meow.
Here's the deal. Pinch me. I'm not a zapper girl. So I'm saying that if I don't agree with you, you like to tell me that I browbeat you, but it's really the opposite way.
I'm not browbeating you. I'm engaging in a conversation. You browbeat me on things like, let's not do this for that employee. Like the time I said about Noah, and you said, no, we have to. And I kept saying, no. I actually made it a little poem. No, Noah. Okay, so listen to me. I'm not browbeating you on this. I'm saying if Cassie had to sit next to somebody who purported to be an animal and engaged in anthropomorphic behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, I've done it on this podcast in the past. Cassie's sitting down trying to absorb the lesson, and there's someone next to her going, how can you learn?
Mm-hmm.
It's no different if I was sitting in class and I were beatboxing. You're trying to study. I'm going, and you go, well, Vinnie, you gotta stop that. No, I actually think I'm a stereo.
Okay, so what if you're a furry, but you don't act up in class? You sit quietly. You're in your furry costume. You sit there with your little paws, and you're not bothering anybody. Then what?
I think you've done something you've never done before. You've actually made a point. I think if you are not disruptive.
Right, like you're sitting there and you're furry, because what's to distinguish you? You're not disruptive. You're not licking yourself.
All right.
You're just sitting there in your furry costume. And you're not exposing any parts of you.
Right.
So it's not as if you're violating the dress code, because like at our schools you have a dress code. Like it's very sexist, actually.
What, the furry dress code?
No, our dress code here. It's
What do you mean?
Because
It's sexist?
Oh yeah, girls can't wear anything that's sleeveless, but yeah, I'm not going to get into that. But anyway.
Yeah, way to invite a lawsuit. We're very sexist the way we do shit. You're a woman, you put your hooters away.
Yeah. No, but if you're not violating any dress code.
If this furry is not violating a dress code.
Is not violating a dress code.
And they're not disruptive.
And they go to school and they dress like a skunk. And they're just acting like a skunk, and they hang out with their skunk pack, but they're not fighting with anybody. They keep to themselves. They're polite. They're not disrespectful.
I smell a loophole. See, he kept saying skunk.
Yeah.
I think that I'm going to agree with you. If you go to class and you speak English.
You answer. Right. You're not making whatever noise a skunk would make.
And you speak English.
Right.
Or Spanish, or Hungarian, whatever your language is.
Right.
If you're not meowing, and you're not licking yourself and you're not making a spectacle of yourself.
Right.
Because again, no child's allowed to make a spectacle of themselves. If I sit in class,
Right.
they tell
I
me
agree
stop.
with you.
Right.
I agree with you.
Okay, so I would go so far as to say that I would allow the child in, and the child should be referred to student services for some out time, psychological time, where the child would go out and meet with a team of professionals paid for by the state or the community to help that child realize that they are a human being
Mm-hmm.
and they are not an animal,
Right.
despite the fact that they think they are. I can live with that. I will say this the first time on this podcast, you and I have adjudicated a subject matter to where we came to a middle point.
Right. Like, I don't think that anything has to be so,
Yeah, I agree.
all in. All right. So the next one is about frivolous lawsuits.
Yeah, this is so annoying.
So this is frivolous lawsuits, which, I mean, we've experienced frivolous lawsuits.
We have experienced some ridiculous
So,
things.
2 people went to a Madonna concert December 13th. She went on 2 hours late, and they are now suing. They're trying to make it a class action suit, I believe.
Mhm.
So, because they were upset that she started 2 hours late, thus they couldn't get ride sharing and they had a hard time getting up the next day. And why are you smiling?
I'm reading the whole article. I'm reading with the notes on the article while you're talking. And I mean, honest to God, Michael Fellows and Jonathan Haddon are the 2 individuals that went to the concert together. And the show started at 10:30. The headline act on stage until 10:30. Okay. I mean, honest to God, okay.
Right. Like, I feel as if, I mean, for Madonna, I'm 100% positive she does not care about this.
She will not care about this.
No.
And
She's
and
got
here's the
more
thing,
money.
too.
This is like a drop in the bucket. Now, if I'm Madonna, you know what I do? I don't settle. I just keep making them go back and back and pay more in lawyer fees.
I agree with you. I would drag this out.
Yeah.
Because the other thing it said the headliner didn't go on until 10:30. So that I'm presuming that the show began
Yeah.
and that there was opening acts.
Right.
But I've been to a lot of concerts,
Mhm.
and Madonna's easy answer on this is I will bet you almost anything that at 8:30 that arena was 25% full.
Mhm.
Because people go late all the time.
Right.
They go late all the time. And this lawsuit will not prevail for many reasons. First of all, she will be able to say, listen, I don't go on and, in my contract, everything has to be right. So it could have been a sound problem. There could have been a million problems.
Right.
I'm not a Madonna fan, but I'm not a Madonna fan. I don't
Right.
dislike her. I think she's got an amazing career.
Right. She has
I
an
mean,
amazing
Yeah,
career.
really amazing career.
Right.
And some of the songs still work for me. Some of the I find myself singing
Mhm.
like a virgin.
I knew you were going to sing that. I knew it. I just knew it.
Touch for the very first time. In
Mhm.
other words,
Yes.
and so I do like what was her big hit? Her first one, not like a virgin one.
No. You must be my lucky star.
Oh, no, I
That
don't
was
like
one of
song.
mine.
Name another one.
Well, she had the movie that came out when she was just really coming
That
off.
movie stunk. What,
Oh, I
something else.
love that movie.
What were some of her big songs?
Oh my gosh, she had so many.
Just like a virgin.
Yeah.
Papa
Don't preach. I'm in trouble deep. Yeah.
Now, do you have a list of Madonna songs? You think that if Peter was here, this shit would be ready. But no, we're doing multitasking today. He's
Mhm.
got to do I meant that as a compliment now.
Material Girl.
Material
There you
Girl.
go, yeah.
Yeah, what else?
Let's
like
see. You said
Material
Papa
Girl.
Don't Preach, Take a Bow.
Mhm.
Express Yourself.
Oh, Express Yourself, but that was Express Yourself was later.
Yeah.
So Papa Don't Preach, Material Girl,
Like a Virgin was the breakout, wasn't it?
that
Dress You
wasn't.
Up.
What's the breakout?
Yeah. No, it was.
I'll tell you something else about that Madonna. She worked very hard to remain relevant in the way that she was physically attractive.
Right. Oh, Crazy for You.
I hated that song.
That was one of her big ones. Borderline. That
Borderline.
was a Borderline.
I like Borderline.
Yeah.
But, I have to rephrase. None of these songs I want to hear today. But I still respect her career.
She had an amazing career. And
Amazing
she
career.
said she just performed in Detroit. So she's from Detroit. And she just performed in Detroit. And her dad was in the audience. And she basically said to her dad, at the time, I didn't understand. Because she has like 6 siblings or something.
Right.
And
she was harsh on her father.
She was. And now that she's older and she has 6 of her own children, she has said, I understand that you were working to provide for us.
Yeah.
And that I understand when you didn't give me any money to go to New York. Like, she went to New York, like, truly with like 30 or 40 bucks. And
We didn't want her to go.
no, he did not want her to go. And she says, I understand that these life lessons that you taught me were to prepare me for the world.
Right.
And she says her biggest accomplishment, she believes, is being a mom. Because she had Lourdes, her oldest, and then she had Rocco Ritchie, and then she adopted 4 children.
Isn't it ironic that her biggest accomplishment was not being like a virgin at all?
So anyway, this is just such a stupid lawsuit.
It's a dumb lawsuit.
It really is dumb. I don't care how angry you are that the show started late.
Yeah, and they're saying they couldn't get a ride share home. They also had to get up early and work and take care of family responsibilities the next day. Well, then don't go to the concert, jackass.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, honest to God, I don't know what male friend I have that I would say, hey, let's go to a concert. He would say, are we going to see the Eagles? Nah. Springsteen? Nah. Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band? No. John Cougar Mellencamp? No. Who are we going to see, Vin? Madonna. Count me in. I don't have a male friend like that. Okay. I don't have another man in my life. And that's the thing, too. These are men names, but these are not. Because while I like Madonna, would you not find it just a little bit odd if I said to you, let's go see Madonna?
I would be surprised if you were a Madonna fan, but I also know you, so.
Well, we have a big problem with a friend of mine who I love. I won't name names. He's a Swiftie. And I don't know. Like sometimes I look at him and go, okay, you're a Swiftie, and I can't. Unless you're Travis Kelce, you don't get to be a Swiftie. You know, no, you're not a Swiftie, are you? And listen, Taylor Swift, I'm sure she's great. I intentionally don't know any songs from Taylor Swift.
Right.
Deliberately, it's an act of will.
Uh-huh.
Okay. The last album I bought was the White Album. So, but wouldn't you be upset if I was a Swiftie? Tell the truth.
I would think it was weird.
Yeah.
I would definitely think it was weird.
Yeah. A little strange.
Yeah, right.
And I love that guy. We all know I love him. If you're watching, I know you're watching.
Like, I actually laughed out loud at the next story. I literally
love it.
laughed out loud.
We can just roll for it because we're done with the Madonna.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But you're gonna have to definitely put a picture up of this guy, because first of all, so a Chinese marathon runner was disqualified for chain smoking during the marathon.
The Chinese people love to smoke. They are the smoking. Chinese people smoke. During the beginning of the pandemic, I called you from Detroit and I said I saw an Asian woman with a mask on smoking a cigarette through the mask.
Yes.
And they love to smoke it.
Well, the fact that he ran the marathon in 3 hours
Wow.
and 33 minutes while he was smoking as well. And he never paused. He never stopped. And he's 52 years old, and he was able to do that and to keep smoking while he was running. That's impressive.
That is
impressive.
But you know, the Chinese people, like I can imagine that the guy that disqualified him went exactly like this. You're not allowed in anymore. I've spoken that in perfect English. Okay, listen to me. It's incredible to me that he could do that. I agree with you 100%.
I mean, that's really impressive because you know what? my mom decided she was going to work out. So my mom used to smoke for years and years and years, which you know. And when I was in high school, I was doing aerobics. And she came down, cigarette hanging out of her mouth, and she's trying to do aerobics.
Yeah.
With the cigarette hanging out of her mouth. And then another time she tried to run with me with the cigarette hanging out of her mouth. She made it up the block. This guy did a whole marathon.
A marathon. And there's a great still shot of him spouting smoke
Yeah.
like a dragon in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
This is amazing. And the thing about it is, okay, in my opinion, he did it in 3 hours and 33 minutes, which is good time. Did not pause one time. Here's what's interesting about the article to me. Uncle Chen has completed the very race in the same style in the years past. This year was the first year that, and this is quoting, uncivilized behavior from runners, such as open defecation, smoking, or trampling on flower beds or green spaces that affect the race and the safety of other runners will result in a disqualification. So forget the smoking. Okay, I know plenty of guys when we were younger that would do their morning constitutional with a cigarette. I did it.
Well, I think runners have a problem, right? Because sometimes when you're running for a long time and the stress of your body wants to expel everything.
That's why they call it the runs.
Yeah. And so I understand the open defecation. It's just funny to me that defecation, trampling of flower beds,
Yes,
and green spaces is grouped in with smoking. Now, I don't think that in any race rules in the United States, we probably don't have that stipulation.
in this country, it's illegal to shit in the flower beds.
No, I knew we had, a couple years ago, we had that vice principal or principal pooping on the track at the other school.
Yes.
And
Something wacky with him.
Yeah, that was something wacky because he was purposely doing that.
Yeah, he was going there in the morning.
Yeah, that's not right. And
cut that shit out.
Yeah, you do.
That guy lost his job.
He did.
The pooping principal. That's what they called him.
Yeah.
And he fought it.
Yeah.
All these wacky educators, when they get caught doing something awful, they all fight it. This guy knew going into it he wasn't allowed to smoke. I will bet you that even though smoking is terrible for you, that the nicotine would be considered a stimulant in any case.
You think so?
Well, nicotine's a stimulant, isn't it?
I know, but I just think it's really impressive that this guy can run a marathon in 3 hours and 33 minutes.
I knew a guy who used to paint his fingernails on acid. And so, Vicki, I don't get me wrong, I'm amazed, but nicotine is definitely, I believe, is it a stimulant? No, nicotine's a stimulant.
Right.
So, you shouldn't be allowed to have a stimulant while you're running. But I also, if I was running by him, I would have clocked him. I don't want to smell cigarettes while I'm running.
Well, I think
Maybe you should try a cigarette.
I do. I should. I think though that if they're so used to it in their culture that it's not, they're used to it. Like just like we were growing up. Everyone you knew smokes growing up.
You know, it's amazing. Like now, when you see someone smoking, don't you look twice?
Yeah, you do. You're like, what are you doing?
It's amazing.
Sarah Jessica Parker still smokes, and it takes me back because I'm like, you have so much education, so much money. You know it's bad for you. Why do you keep doing it?
Yeah. You know what we saw the other day? Cassie and I saw it, and I actually pointed it out to her.
Yeah.
Because it's so rare now. We saw an old man, probably 80-some-odd years old. That's not old, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Older man, driving his pickup truck. The pickup truck was 30 years old.
Right.
Smoking a pipe.
A pipe?
A pipe.
And I never see anyone smoking a pipe anymore.
Never. I said, Kathy, look over there now. I said, you're not going to see that again.
No, I bet you it comes back. Because the cigars made a big comeback.
They did.
With a certain, group of kids all smoking the cigars. I'm wondering if the pipe is going to come back.
The thing about the pipe is it's just so, there's something about a pipe. I'll tell you, like even the motion of hanging on to it, it feels regal.
Yeah.
It feels like you could be ruling. I say. So a pipe, I think, has a harder time coming back because it's a piece of equipment. Cigars, I have to be honest with you. Like I've smoked 5 cigars in my life, maybe 6.
I've never smoked a cigar.
And they're awful. They're awful. There's no way in God's earth anyone ever smoked their first cigar and said, that's delicious.
Right.
Because it tastes like shit. You can't taste your food for weeks. Now, like anything else, people get used to it, right? But you have to try.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like I remember when I was a young kid, Johnny Bischoff gave me a cigarette. We were in there was a construction project, and we were in a sewage, big concrete sewage thing was going to be installed. And Johnny went in there and smoked. When I think back on it, he was hiding in there, and it was this concrete thing with just a hole in the center. So like a pile of smoke coming out of the roof. And he went in there and he smoked, and he goes, try the cigarette. And I took the cigarette and I went, and I just puffed it. I didn't inhale it. And he goes, no, you gotta bring the smoke into your lungs. I remember I could see him saying it to me. And so I coughed for 10 minutes, tears coming out of my eyes. And he goes, don't worry, you get used to it. And even at that young age, I said, why would anyone get used to this? Why?
Right.
And so, but cigars are very much like that. Now, I go to bachelor party. No, I don't. I've never been to a bachelor party. That's amazing, by the way.
You've never been to a bachelor party?
No. Oh, the one your brother took me to.
Yeah.
I've been to one bachelor party. I've never been to anybody's wedding. I really think I'm a shit human because everyone I know has been in like 7 weddings.
You officiated a wedding.
I officiated a wedding. I gave a speech at a practice
rehearsal dinner. Yeah, rehearsal dinner.
Whatever. Yeah. I've never been in a wedding other than
you've given a lot of eulogies.
I've done a ton of eulogies.
I thought for a while you're going to make a career out of it.
Someone drops dead, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
But not one friend said, "Hey, Vinnie, you want to be in my wedding?" Not one. I find that amazing.
You were in your brother's wedding.
Was I?
Yeah, you were in your brother's wedding.
But that was just me and him, right? I was the best man.
I actually don't remember who else was in that wedding.
Yeah. Okay, that happened. That's right, my brother's wedding.
You were in your brother's wedding, yeah.
But I've never been in. I've never outside of my immediate family.
You were in your sister Lori's wedding, weren't you?
No.
Oh no, no one was. Yeah, you're
nope. Not in Michelle's wedding, not in Lori's wedding. I wasn't in my parents' wedding.
No, well, yeah.
But no. Have you been in a wedding yet? Do you have friends you think that will invite you?
Yeah, I think. Well, I don't know, because weddings, I don't know, for my age is so expensive right now. I don't know how big or bachelor parties, especially my friends, they're not, nobody even has girlfriends. So I'm not even looking at them as.
So you don't have what?
His friends don't have girlfriends.
Well, it doesn't surprise. Maybe your friends will sue Madonna. I'm just saying.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
So Noah, but do you think any of your friends, if they got girlfriends, and do you know who you would invite to be in your wedding?
Ooh,
Now, no, bear in mind, I just poured my heart out and said I was never in a wedding. So go ahead and answer.
I think you would officiate.
Yeah!
I want to officiate, goddamn. I don't want to work at your wedding. I want to be in a wedding. Isn't there one person in this world that says, I want Vinnie to be special?
You were in my wedding.
Yeah, I was in your wedding. I was on the cusp there.
Yeah.
I was on the bubble. No, would you have me in your wedding?
Yeah.
No, right. You know what? Now I feel bad. I shamed him into it.
You did.
I shamed him into it.
I mean, you'll definitely be there.
You'll definitely be there.
Yeah. I just got downgraded. I mean, you're going to be catering it. You're going to cater my wedding. I've never been in a wedding. So, but how do we get on weddings?
We were
the pipes and cigars.
The pipes and cigars.
So, every time you go to some function, and a lot of the comics with the cigars, I mean, oh my God, really? Don't you know what's going to happen?
Right.
I mean, it's also bad. No, have you smoked a cigar?
Yeah, the only time was high school graduation, and I threw up after.
Right. And let me ask you, if you can remember, because a couple years ago, after you smoked the cigar, how many days was it before you tasted your food normally again?
I would say it was like 2.5 days.
Yeah.
It was a pretty, yeah. I would say the only thing that was worse was when it was for varsity baseball, and all the seniors made all the kids put dip in their mouth. And that was arguably the worst experience I've ever had with any drugs or anything, because you're spinning. I swallowed the spit, and you're not supposed to. And that was just...
That's hazing at its finest.
Yeah, it was.
Can I tell you
something? Hazing and bullying at its finest.
You know, I have 2 stories about chewing tobacco.
Uh-huh.
One is about Skol or Copenhagen. which is not chewing tobacco. That's what do they call that? They call that
pouch, right? They
like
come in a little pouch. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not chewing tobacco. That's a snuff or whatever. I don't know. So my brother and I were doing a job in Woodbridge. I was very tired, and we're up on this roof, and Ricky Harris's brother gave me a pouch of Copenhagen. And put this in, wake you up. I got so nauseous and so dizzy because it is definitely a stimulant. And I'm like, I can't, and I spit it out and I got sick. Now, the second, actually that was the second time. The first time was when my youth football coach, Steve Hallgren.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was 17 years old and Steve took me out drinking because that's what a good coach does. And he took me down to the Inlet Cafe. Now, the drinking age was 18 at that time.
Right.
And I clearly tell all my children, they know how little I drink.
Mm-hmm.
But he got me good and loaded at the Inlet Cafe, and I had to drive home. And he put me behind the wheel of my car, and he goes, here, this will keep you awake. And he opened my mouth up, and he put in a wad of leaf chewing tobacco, real chewing tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I got home, and I was too inebriated to realize that you had to spit that out. So I slept all night with it in my mouth and swallowed the spit all night long on the floor of my parents' den. Woke up the next day, and I will tell you that my stomach, everything exited low and fast. Okay, low and fast. And it was like that for 2 days. And what's amazing to me is, and I loved my parents, I had great parents, but if any part of that story happened today, if, for example, one of my kids went to a bar with a coach, I would have the coach by the neck. Okay, now my coaches were great. Steve Hallgren's still a friend of mine.
It was a different time.
It was a different time. Steve Hallgren's also one of the best people I've ever met in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Kenny Hallgren are two of the men that shaped me into the person I am today, along with my father and this dancer I knew from Broadway. But anyway, they shaped me into what I am. And so I love Steve Hallgren. And no disparaging Kenny or Steve, but I'm parenting. I'm my parents. How is it that the next day there wasn't a phone call?
Because it was a totally different time. It's the same thing like when I played softball when I was a little kid. Nobody went to the games. It was some woman, I'll never forget. And I remember thinking, I wonder why this woman is coaching us. She doesn't have a kid on the team. She's coaching us.
And in hindsight, you realize, right?
She drove a pickup truck. Yeah. And then she would take us all out. Like she'd put us all in the back of the pickup truck and drive us through town to Dairy Queen when we won. Nobody checked with any parents.
What was her name? Do you know her name?
I don't remember. But
do you think she was grooming you?
Looking back, there was never hey, should we ask your parents if I can put you in the back of our pickup truck and drive you guys to get Dairy Queen?
Do you think she could have been a child molester grooming you?
I don't know, but it was definitely a different time where there wasn't like, I'm positive my mom didn't go down and be like, hi, what's your name? Oh, okay, you're going to be coaching my daughter?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. It was just, you got, I don't know, I guess a phone call or something in the mail back then that when you signed up, and I went down by myself, 6 years old.
Oh my God.
Was on this softball team. And
you could have ended up a lesbian.
But stop.
You were so close.
But my point is, it was just a different time back then.
Yes.
My parents just didn't question somebody else's intentions.
Yeah, you're right. And so with Steve and with, all that, the next day, so I woke up on the floor of the den.
Mm-hmm.
I clearly drove under the influence.
Right.
I must have known that. When I was 16 years old, I worked at Mario's Chart House restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Mario had a English wife who was 8 months pregnant, and he was dating the girl at the front whose name was Marianne.
Mm.
So he was stepping out. And he had a brand new Jeep Poncho pickup truck. And I was 16, driving age was 17. I had no license. Now, my parents said, I worked with Scott Daly. And my parents said, you can work there, but we're not coming to get you at night.
Right.
You get a ride home.
Right. I love that parent. That.
We're not getting up at 1 o'clock in the morning to get you.
Yeah. Figure it out. That's what they would say. Figure it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so Mario was going to drive me home every night. And Mario said, I'll drive you home every night. But Mario didn't want to drive me home because Mario wanted to go hook up with Marianne.
Right.
So Mario, at 16 years old, would just say, here, you drive the truck. And I would take his brand new Jeep Honcho pickup truck, put Scott Daly in it, drive Scott Daly home, drive to my house. Sometimes we wouldn't have breakfast, have the Jeep the whole next day, go to work the next day. No license, no anything. Driving a truck. My parents never said, hey, you could get in trouble.
Right. But well, back then, I mean, it was similar. You just didn't inconvenience your parents.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was the big rule. Like, you can't inconvenience me.
When did parents lose that?
I don't know. But that's what it was growing up. Like, listen, do what you're going to do out there.
Out there.
Don't mess up my house and don't inconvenience me.
It's so true. But don't you know, like, where did parents lose that? So when we were young,
yeah,
my sisters would take a shower at 4 in the afternoon, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, me, I would have football. I would come home later, and I'd shower when I got home. But usually you showered at the football, at the team. But I remember clear as a bell, on a hot summer day, my sisters were in the bathroom, my father's truck would come down the street, and my mother would go into DEFCON 6. Get out of the shower! Your father's home!
right.
Because there could be no delay. He was going to come in, he would kick off 2 sweaty leather Herman work boots, walk directly upstairs, and nobody better be in the shower, and there better be clean towels.
Right.
I go in our shower.
Well, I was just going to say, that's so different from us. We took a Disney vacation a couple years ago, and we were in this adjoining room with one bathroom. And all the girls showered. I showered. And so since it was adjoining rooms, I don't know, there was something like 8 towels, right? When Vinnie goes to shower, because the girls all use a towel on their head too, you had literally a washcloth.
I'm coming out in a loincloth.
Yeah, you had a washcloth and no hot water.
I look like Jesus coming out.
But you were last man on the totem pole with the showers.
Last
so
man.
There was no hot water, no towel. The floor is sopping wet.
Sopping wet.
Yeah, and that's what we
no
do
toilet
now.
paper.
Yeah, that's what we do now.
You know, it's funny because even now, in our marriage, I'm last man on the totem pole. You will take literally 58 minutes to get ready.
We have other bathrooms you can use.
Yeah, I have to use some other person's
So?
bathroom. No, our next house, I am telling you, complete separate bedrooms, complete separate bathrooms.
I would love that.
I know you would. Our next house, we're divorced, baby.
Yeah.
I love you, Vicki.
Yeah. Right back at you. All
Can't say
right.
it, can't say it.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys. Love y'all.
All right.